Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
News story crossed my desk yesterday about something I don't like on my car, and I've mentioned it before. So from Newsweek, Jesus Mesa writes, EPA proposes rollback of hated feature in new cars. For those of you who've ever stopped at an intersection to have your car fall silent and then jolt back to life moments later, relief may be on the horizon. The administrator of the EPA is proposing a rollback of federal incentives that helped push the automatic engine start-stop systems into millions of vehicles on U.S. roads. And I've been driving for a couple decades now, at least a couple. And I recently bought a vehicle that has this functionality on it. And so I'm driving along, and I pull up to a light, and I stop, and all of a sudden the engine just shuts off. And my knee-jerk reaction is, oh, my car just died. What's wrong? And I don't care that I can think my way through and go, oh, no, it's the auto stop start. I have that response because that's the response I would have had going back all the decades I've been driving when my car dies in traffic. So when I bought the car, the salesperson was going through all the features with me and goes, oh, this vehicle's got auto stop start or whatever it's called by Ford. And I said, can I turn it off? And she goes, yeah, there's a button here you can turn it off. And I said, great. She goes, but you'll have to do that every time you drive the vehicle because it defaults back to it's on unless you shut it off each time you start the vehicle. And it's annoying. It's annoying. So the administrator made the announcement via social media yesterday saying the feature was where your car dies at every red light. So companies get a climate participation trophy, he added. EPA approved it. Everyone hates it, so we're fixing it. So the auto stop-start technology became popular in large part due to fuel economy and emissions regulations introduced a while back. Initially introduced by European car makers in hybrid vehicles over the past decade, it became common across many new vehicles, including SUVs and pickup trucks. Now, it is not mandated. It's not required. It has been widely adopted due to federal fuel standard incentives. The system shuts off the engine when the vehicle is fully stopped and restarts it when the driver releases the brake or presses the accelerator. Automakers claim the feature improves fuel efficiency and lowers greenhouse gas emissions. Critics say it can be annoying or even dangerous, causes long-term wear on the engines, and offers only minimal environmental benefits. And I'm curious, because I've talked to people about this, that if you've ever replaced a starter on a vehicle, you know that a starter, generally speaking, has some kind of lifespan. And it's how many times it gets cycled. How many times do you start your car? And if your auto stop start makes your engine get restarted repeatedly every single day, several multiples of what it would be otherwise, won't that cause a starter to wear out faster? And I've had people say, no, it won't, because the engine's warm. So you're telling me that all those extra starts don't cost the starter anything in wear and tear? They've got to cost it something, right? So opposition to this automatic start-stop has grown steadily, and some people will notice that automatic start-stop also has a very, very potentially funny acronym. It's grown steadily, especially among drivers in hotter climates or those who experience inconsistent engine restarts. Common complaints include sluggish acceleration, disrupted air conditioning, and concerns about wear and tear on starter motors. Hey, there's that guy on YouTube who's always complaining about that. Despite the backlash, most automakers continue to stand by the feature. In many vehicles, it's programmed to default to on at every startup, meaning drivers have to manually disable it each time if that option is even available. Now, luckily, it is available on my vehicle. So I'm getting better at it. I jump in, I start the car, I hit the button, and I drive. One user posted in response to this announcement on Twitter, I disabled this immediately using tuner software for my car. It's super annoying. I especially hated how it defaulted to on every time I restarted the car. Another said, thank you, I despise it. Sure, you can turn it off, but just the idea of having it in a gas-powered car is ridiculous. And I know somebody who's really, really adept with computers and programming and walked me through a bunch of other stuff I needed fixed. And I said, can you help me with that auto stop start? And he said, well, I'll have to bring my laptop over, but sure. So I haven't done it yet, but I might. So according to tests by the Society of Automotive Engineers, or SAE, the feature can reduce fuel consumption by anywhere from 7 to 26%, depending on traffic patterns. If you're crawling through city traffic where your engine gets plenty of nap breaks at every red light, then yes, the system can genuinely cut down on fuel use, says the Associate Director of Auto Test Development at Consumer Reports. However, he noted that the benefits are minimal for highway driving. Plenty of drivers find start-stop systems irritating and hit the off switch the moment the engine turns over. The EPA's move comes amid a wider deregulatory push happening right now, and the announcement was met with positive response on social media, with many praising the move as a common sense decision. And so it's interesting, and I hadn't stopped to think about whether it had been mandated or not, because I just kind of assumed it was, because everybody's moving in that direction. But then when I found it wasn't mandated, my first thought was, well, maybe it works really, really well. And I saw a couple different articles on this, roadandtrack.com covered it as well. And it looks like under ideal circumstances, like where you'd need this, like a lot of long red lights, it'll save some gas. Of course, long red lights where you want your AC to work, it might be a problem. And then likewise, if you just do a lot of like highway driving, ripping around town, and you only stop once or twice, it seems to me it's a waste. And again, what you're wasting is the wear and tear on the starter and the annoyance of having to hit something to get your car running again. So, and I know there's some people out there right now, young folks who are 25 years old and have been driving for 2 years because for some odd reason they didn't get their license when they turned 16, who are saying, what's the big deal? So what? It starts, stops, it starts, it stops. You got to understand, I've had vehicles before, if I was driving them in traffic and I stopped and the engine died, I'd panic. Because, my engine died. What could it possibly be? Am I going to have to sit here and crank start it? Am I going to have to go out and pop the hood and wave people around me? Am I going to have to push my car off the road? What am I going to have to do? And then, it just shut itself off. Tap your pedal again, it'll go again. And those kinds of instinctive reflexes, you can't just think them away. And I was driving just 2 or 3 days ago. I jumped in the car at the last second, and I've got more than one car. I was not even sure I was going to take that car until the last second. I'm like, I'll take this car. And I get the car fired up, and I drive it, and I go about 5 or 6 miles before I get to a spot where the start-stop would even work. I stopped at a light, and the engine cut out. I'm like, auto stop start. I have to hit the button again. Engine restarts. It won't do that again. And it's just annoying. So if somebody showed me that, yes, this will save you drastically on your fuel economy, and we've beefed up the starter in some way that it's going to actually be able to handle all these extra cycles, and that's not jacking the price of the car up, despite the fact that a more robust starter would cost more money to make. I'm talking about a starter motor. Very few things in engineering are free, meaning that if you engineer one thing a certain way and then you change your mind, you often have to engineer something another way to compensate for it. And so here we have a starter that's being cycled so many more times than the previous one. You're going to have to put in a different starter. You're going to have to. And the different starter is going to cost more. And so, don't get me wrong, it's possible that a 25% fuel savings over the life of the car might pay for a couple starters. It might. But understand that there are trade-offs. And I simply find this annoying as all heck, because my knee-jerk response, no matter what I'm doing, when my engine dies in traffic, my first reaction is one of those. And then I'm like, hit the button and false alarm. And I don't like going through that almost every time I drive the vehicle. So a couple people sent this to me. Thanks a lot. This version is from Newsweek. Jesus Mesa wrote that the EPA proposes a rollback of the hated feature in new cars. We're talking, of course, about the automatic stop-start functionality, which nobody seems to like. Questions or comments, put them below this. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law.
Don't allow anyone to decide which path you should choose to start your journey.